Jake Paul has shocked the fight world after suffering a brutal knockout by Mike Tyson. While knockouts are expected when Iron Mike is involved, the way Tyson floored the YouTuber-turned-boxer was stunning. During an unexpected sparring session ahead of their November 15, 2024 fight, Tyson wasn't holding back. In just seconds, Jake wasn't simply knocked down, he was folded. The knockout was so severe it has everyone talking. What makes this even crazier is that sparring knockouts rarely grab headlines, but this one has the entire fight community buzzing with anticipation for the upcoming showdown. From pros to pundits, everyone's asking the same question: is Jake Paul okay? After Tyson's brutal knockout, it turns out the problem child may have suffered a broken rib due to the way he collapsed. Tyson's punch hits like a sledgehammer, and Jake might have just learned that lesson the hard way. While knockouts don't typically end careers, this one has everyone questioning Jake's entire strategy. Let's dive into what actually went down during that sparring session last weekend. True to form, Jake came in with his usual swagger, acting like he had the fight in the bag. He confidently strutted around the ring, trash-talking like he always does. And here's the kicker: he had the audacity to call Mike Tyson a sick chicken.
Jake might have just learned that the hard way.
One of the most dangerous men in
knockouts
boxing
don't usually
history.
end careers, but
Jake
this one, it's questioning Jake's entire strategy. All right, fight fans, let's get into what actually went down in that sparring session.
Opponents. Jake Paul might have thought he was ready, having faced retired MMA fighters and washed-up NBA players, but reality hit hard, literally. Fast forward to just a few seconds into the first round of sparring, and Jake was bobbing, weaving, trying to feel Tyson out, thinking he had control. But Tyson wasn't playing. Then it happened. Bang! One perfectly timed punch from Mike sent Jake crashing to the canvas. That was it. Game over. In that split second, Jake got the harshest reality check of his life. It's one thing to train, get hyped, and believe you're ready, but it's another to face Mike Tyson in the ring. Jake's ego shattered just as hard as his body. The fight world was left speechless. But let's be real, Jake Paul underestimated his opponent. This wasn't a washed-up MMA fighter or a retired basketball player, this was Mike Tyson. The man who shaped modern boxing, who sent grown men into early retirement with a single punch. Jake thought he could roll in and take down a legend just because he's been training for a few years and has some wins under his belt. But you don't beat the master. Tyson is the definition of a beast in the ring, with raw power and killer instinct that doesn't fade with age. Jake learned that the hard way. If Jake thought he could handle Tyson, he just learned the hard way that you never underestimate a legend. To put this into perspective, let's talk about one of Tyson's greatest fights: Mike Tyson versus Trevor Berbick. This was the fight that put Tyson on the map, crowning him the youngest heavyweight champion in history. Berbick was supposed to be a tough, experienced fighter, but Tyson obliterated him in the second round with a brutal combination that left Berbick stumbling like he'd been hit by a truck. He couldn't even stand properly after that knockout. That moment cemented Tyson's reputation as an unstoppable force. Jake, this is the kind of fighter you're up against. Someone you never take lightly. You're not facing some influencer trying to make a name for themselves. You're up against a guy who dominated the sport in his teens. Take Tyson versus Larry Holmes, for example. Holmes wasn't just any fighter. He was a legend, having only been knocked down once in his entire career before stepping into the ring with Tyson. But Mike dismantled him in the fourth round, landing punch after punch until Holmes hit the canvas. When Holmes got up, Tyson put him down again. That fight marked the end of boxing's old guard and the arrival of a new king. Then there's Tyson versus Michael Spinks, a fight that had everyone on edge. Spinks was undefeated and considered a serious contender. But Tyson made quick work of him, knocking Spinks out in just 91 seconds. These are the kinds of legendary battles Jake is up against. Did he really think he could go toe-to-toe with that caliber of fighter? Undefeated and considered a serious threat, people thought Michael Spinks might actually have a chance to beat Tyson. Spoiler, he didn't. Tyson knocked Spinks out in 91 seconds in the first round. Tyson barely broke a sweat before putting him to sleep, solidifying his legacy as one of the most feared men in boxing. Now, compare that to Jake Paul, a YouTuber who put on gloves and started calling himself a boxer overnight. Sure, Jake's been training and has improved, but
paramedic. Yeah.
you can't outbox a guy who's been destroying legends since the 80s. It's telling when Jake had to leave the gym on a gurney after Tyson's brutal KO. The YouTuber turned boxer, Jake Paul, was in so much pain he couldn't even stand. The guy who usually acts untouchable had to be wheeled out of the gym and rushed to the hospital. You could almost feel the shockwaves ripple through the boxing world. Who would have thought a simple sparring session would leave Jake looking like he'd been run over by a truck? And it doesn't get more real than this. We're not talking about a minor bruise or a black eye. Jake was in serious pain.
Just shooting?
Yeah.
This wasn't one of those knockouts where you just get up, shake it off, and act like nothing happened. No, Jake was in agony. Tyson's punch didn't just knock him down, it seriously messed him up. Word from the camp suggests this injury could have lasting effects on Jake's future in the ring. The word from the hospital is that Jake Paul has a broken rib, and doctors say he'll be out of the game for a while. That's right, mister, I'm going to take over the boxing world. Is sidelined because Tyson didn't just break him physically, he broke him mentally. You could see it in Jake's face when they wheeled him out. This wasn't just another sparring session gone wrong. This was a reality check that shakes you to your core. Jake's been riding high on his confidence, thinking he could take on legends, but Tyson reminded him real quick that this isn't some YouTube stunt. And if you thought a broken rib was as bad as it gets, it's worse. Jake Paul has always been the guy drowning in overconfidence, constantly hyping himself up and believing he's invincible. That mindset is exactly what led to his downfall. Tyson showed him the harsh truth. Boxing isn't a game, and legends like Mike don't play. Jake didn't just trash-talk Tyson, he made bets. And not just a casual, I'll buy you dinner if I lose bet, but serious money. Jake went all out, betting a huge sum that he could take Tyson down in this sparring session. Can you imagine the level of...
But, yeah, and then I wake up the next day and, like, have a phone call, like, with my lawyer.
Overconfidence it takes to bet against Mike freaking Tyson. That's peak Jake Paul. And surprise, surprise, he lost. Not only did he lose the sparring match, but also a massive chunk of his wealth. Yep, Jake's bank account took a serious hit, all because of his overblown ego. He put everything on the line, thinking he'd be the one to take Tyson down, but instead he's walking away with a bruised ego, a busted rib, and an empty wallet. Now Jake's all in tears about it, because of course he's refusing to pay up. The man's even facing legal issues for trying to dodge the payout, and it's only adding to the fallout from his latest misstep. Jake Paul is dealing with legal suits right now because of those bets. Instead of owning up to it like a champion, he's making all sorts of excuses, claiming that the bet wasn't serious since it was just sparring. But here's the thing, the bet was directly related to the sparring session. Tyson didn't step into that ring for an exhibition. He was there to show Jake exactly what's up, and Jake lost fair and square. Now he's trying to backtrack, insisting this wasn't the real fight, as if that will somehow erase the embarrassment. The truth is, Jake ran his mouth thinking he could hang with a living legend, and now he has to face the consequences. And trust me, those consequences are massive. The lawsuits alone could wipe out more than just a chunk of Jake's wealth. We're talking about a potential financial disaster for the YouTuber turned boxer. This situation leaves Jake hurting not just financially but emotionally as well. Let's be real. His entire image is built on being that loud, confident guy who can back it up in the ring. He has fans, sponsorships, and a whole influencer-turned-boxer persona that made him rich and famous. But this is a serious blow. You can't talk all that smack, bet a ton of money, and then back out when things don't go your way. Now Jake's trying to save face, but it's not working. No one is buying the excuse that it was just sparring. Sparring or not, you made the bet, Jake, and now you've got to deal with the consequences. This whole incident has thrown a major wrench into the fight plans. Jake and Mike were set to meet for the highly anticipated clash on November 15, 2024, at the AT&T Arena. But with Jake's broken rib and the lawsuits piling up from his ridiculous bets, the fight is seriously in jeopardy. Everyone was hyped for this showdown. YouTube fans, boxing purists, and even casual sports watchers, but now things are looking shaky. Jake will need time to heal, and who knows how long that'll take. Plus, with all these legal issues coming at him from every direction, it's unclear whether he'll even be able to focus on training. The future of this fight hangs in the balance. It's wild how one sparring session can flip the script entirely. If the fight gets postponed, rescheduled, or even cancelled, it'll be a huge blow for fans who have been hyped for this showdown. I guess we'll just have to hold our breath on it. So there you have it, Fight World. That's all I have for you today. What are your thoughts on Jake Paul's world collapsing after what Mike did? Be sure to fill the comment section with your opinions, and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more boxing news. See you in the next video.